Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY.
Seriously, get out there. Well, it's too late. If you missed the blood moon, go see my picture posted to Twitter. It's Prairie Blood Moon Eclipse. Hashtag Illinois. So check that out. It's just pretty incredible. Glad I got to experience that this morning, especially it being election day. Good morning. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And a lot of people are going to be heading to the polls today. And we're going to see what the outcome is for a lot of races all across the state, statewide races. You've got the Amendment 1 that's going to possibly codify collective bargaining in the Illinois Constitution. You've got the gubernatorial race, which we'll delve into quite a bit a little bit later on. And also you've got the U.S. Senate. And the seat that's up for grabs is that's currently held by Democrat incumbent Tammy Duckworth. So you've also got a Republican candidate, Kathy Salvi, and a Libertarian candidate, Bill Redpath, that are on the ballot this morning. So a lot of you have already voted, but some of you still have yet to head to the polls. They're open, close at 7, pending any possible problems that might arise at individual polling places. So we'll be watching across the state just how all this unfolds. But of course, you've got choices. In some of your races on a local level, you might not have many choices. Like, for instance, I don't think I have anybody challenging the incumbent county board seat in my jurisdiction. My state rep is going to be a new person who's returning to the legislature after years off, and that is Wayne Rosenthal. He's not challenged in this election. My state senator, Steve McClure, not challenged in this election, but other state offices do have competitive races, including the race between Sandy Hamilton, the Republican challenger of Doris Turner in the Illinois State Senate, and even over in the Decatur, Springfield area, you've got a state house seat there with incumbent Sue Shearer versus the Republican challenger, Lisa Smith. So those are some of the more localized races in the area. However, statewide, everybody is going to be selecting who they want to send to the U.S. Senate. So Tammy Duckworth is, of course, the incumbent in this race, and she was in Springfield yesterday rallying with Democrats, the entire slate. I did not see Alexi Janulius at the event here in Springfield, though, but everybody else was there. Governor J.B. Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. You also had Comptroller Susanna Mendoza, Treasurer Michael Frericks, and Attorney General Kwame Raoul there campaigning on the day before today's election. And here's some of what Tammy Duckworth had to say yesterday when doing her stump speech in Springfield at a labor hall.
All right, thank you. Hey, Springfield. It is good to see you all. Now, as you talk to folks and get them out to vote today and tomorrow, what you tell them is Democrats deliver. We have delivered time and time again. And let me tell you, when we pass at the federal level the infrastructure bill, not a single Republican in Illinois voted for it except for Adam Kinzinger. So when all these other Republicans want to show up, they don't get to show up at that groundbreaking because they didn't vote for it. Right. But now we could not have gotten those jobs here, those good union jobs. We could not have gotten those projects here had Illinois not put our house in order. And when we passed a bipartisan infrastructure law, Illinois became number one in the nation in terms of receiving federal grant dollars because we had our house in order here, because this governor got us a capital budget. Because Susanna straightened out our fiscal issues so that we could actually compete. And we competed so well, we were number one for months. And the governor said, Tammy, you need to look that up. Is that true? I was like, yes, sir, it is true. We were number one in the nation for months. We're 6 right now, because after about 6 months, the other states are catching up. But we were so far ahead of them, it took them a half a year to catch up to us in terms of winning those federal project dollars. And here's the thing. It is labor, it is unions that are going to once again rebuild this nation from the ground up, from the foundation of this nation up, like they did in the last century for this next century, so that our kids and our grandkids can grow up knowing that the infrastructure of this nation is ready to support them and ready to allow us to compete on an international basis. And it's thanks to the hard workers, the men and women of labor that are going to put us there. And if you are on Medicare and you pay for prescription drugs, it was Democrats who delivered the Inflation Reduction Act. Not a single Republican voted to cap insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Not a single Republican voted to cap an entire annual out-of-pocket cost of $2,000 for senior citizens. They say that we have an inflation problem and they moan about it and they complain and they say, but not a single Republican has come up with a solution other than let's give more tax cuts to the wealthy. Let's give more tax cuts to top corporations and maybe they'll leave something for us. We know that's not how it works. We have to invest in the middle class, invest in hardworking people, invest in labor, and that is how we're growing our economy. So vote Democrats, tell folks, your life is getting better. It's because Democrats are delivering that better life for you and your kids.
So again, that was incumbent Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth with her stump speech. Now, I did put in requests to interview the sitting U.S. Senator, both to her official office, and they said I wasn't able to talk to her until sometime in December. She had such a packed schedule. But I also reached out to her campaign and didn't hear anything back. But that stump speech, I think, is kind of what you'd expect at a rally of sorts, a pre-election rally. But what about the Republican and the Libertarian candidates? Where do they stand? I talked with them a week or so ago, and I'm going to share some of what they had to say coming up next here. But first, we got to get you all updated with what's going on with Real Men Wear Pink. We've got, of course, more than $2,000 we raised. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it really needs to extend all year round because 1 in 8 people are diagnosed with breast cancer, and it can be absolutely devastating. And I've been, as a lot of people have, propelled into this conversation because I have a loved one who has survived breast cancer. And that's my wife, Megan, and she is an incredibly strong individual, having gone through surgery and chemotherapy and radiation throughout the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. And now she's joining me in sharing her story so that we can encourage others. Early detection really does save lives, and it's important. Men, if you feel something different on your wife, you've got to say something. It was right before the official stay-at-home orders were in place that I felt a lump on my wife's breast, and I instantly said that doesn't feel right. And she, without hesitation, went in. Even when others were hesitant to go in for medical treatments as people were told to stay home, Megan didn't. She went right in and got that taken care of, and I couldn't be any more grateful that she did that. So you can help us raise money, raise awareness for Real Men Wear Pink. Still available. Go to WMAY.com/pink. I've raised over $2,000. $1,300 of it allowed me to have Megan paint my nails pink, which have been pink for several weeks now. And I'm still leaving the window open. If you help me raise $4,000, I will dye my hair pink. So let's make that happen. All right. WMAY.com/pink. All right. Stay tuned. We got much more coming up, including some of the conversation I had with Kathy Salvi. That's next here with WMAY. On this election day, we're reviewing one race where all Illinois voters have choices. We heard from the incumbent U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth about why Democrats should maintain power in the U.S. Senate. But she's got challengers from a Republican and a Libertarian. Let's now hear from Kathy Salvi, who's the Republican. She's an attorney by trade, a mother, a grandmother, a wife, and she talks about being an advocate for small businesses. And I asked her about a week and a half or so ago about how to combat inflation. Because if you listen to the last segment, Tammy Duckworth in Springfield yesterday said that Republicans complain about inflation, but they don't have a plan. Well, what is Kathy Salvi's plan to curb inflation? Here she is when I talked with her about a week and a half ago or so.
We need to become energy independent again. In day one of his administration, Biden signed into a law, if you can, by executive order, cut down the flow of oil through the Keystone Pipeline. In addition, he made it nearly impossible to drill for oil on federal lands. And then he went to war on our liquefied natural gas. We are the Saudi Arabia of liquefied natural gas. Europe wanted it, begs for it now. And then he also opened up the North States 2 pipeline between Russia and Europe. So under the Baltic Sea, there's a pipeline that allows Russian oil to go and feed Europe, which is what made Russia wealthy to be able to, attack Ukraine. I mean, this man's energy policy is insane. And what does Congress do from the same party? Nothing. A big fat zero. So we have waged war on domestic fuel production. And our nuclear energy in Illinois, we used to be a 40% nuclear energy exporter. And in the last 2 years, we're a 40% nuclear energy importer. And energy drives our economy. There you have it. Higher gas prices. And if you add on the reckless vote that Tammy gave in March of 2021, not one Republican vote, that $1.9 trillion boondoggle spending bill. So they're printing money faster than they could hand it out. Those two factors is what's driven up inflation, singularity. And Tammy Duckworth, she's just a rubber stamp. Who does she answer to? Not Illinois voters, not Illinois business, not Illinois working men and women, Illinois kids who are starving in the classroom. No, she answers to the left progressive, minority wing of her party, and to all the fat cats in Washington who fund her, $21 million campaign war chest. But I'll tell you, the reason I'm going to win is because I have the heart of the ordinary Illinoisan. And we got to she's just a phony baloney. She's making promises and distortions of her own record because she's got to run from it. Because she doesn't have a record to run on, for heaven's sakes. And, I think my message is resonating in the hearts of all people of goodwill, Greg, and that's why that's why I think we're going to be elected. Let's shock the nation and show how this woman who's got, a 20 to 1, fundraising advantage, but a heart and a spirit to put my whole all into this race and represent our people in this great state of Illinois. Make Illinois a great state, right? I think that I have passion to do this. I've got the smarts to do it. And with your backing, I'm going to ask for your vote, Greg, too. But your listeners here, I think we're going to do it. We're going to do it and we'll make history, because nobody counts on Illinois to return a Republican to the U.S. Senate. And going into this, I knew it was a long shot, but I'll tell you, I know it's not a long shot. It's the right shot. I am the right person at the right time, with the right message, with all the energy in the world, and the right opponent who hasn't delivered for us. And listen, we can't get rid of Biden. We can't, but we could get rid of his rubber stamp, Tammy Duckworth. Nearly 100% vote for Biden. And maybe I should end on this point, too. She sits on the Armed Services Committee. And remember that botched Afghanistan withdrawal? What an embarrassment. Well, that was Biden's coup de grace when it came to foreign policy. That was just an embarrassment after a 20-year investment in that wonderful country. And now it's under Taliban control. And Tammy Duckworth, one of 100 senators, was not a peep from her. Not a peep. And that withdrawal signaled to our enemies that we are weak and have no resolve, and to our allies that we can't be trusted. And that is the foreign policy earmark that we've got from this president. So we can't vote him out of office. But what we can do is send a message and vote Tammy Duckworth out of office, because she has underdelivered and hurt our state. She's hurt our nation, and she doesn't deserve reelection. So I say, give me a chance to leave. I'm ready to go to work for us, the American people, not for Joe Biden.
So again, that's Republican challenger to Tammy Duckworth, Kathy Salvi, laying out various things about how to curb inflation, and also touching on foreign policy and how she says that Tammy Duckworth has failed. And you've got to think about also overall control of Congress. A lot of the polling does indicate that Republicans are going to make quite a bit of headway into getting the majority in the U.S. Senate. Will Illinois play a role in that? Duckworth has been polling ahead, but we know that polls in the past have been widely inaccurate. Even back to 2016, when people polled and gave Donald Trump a slim chance of winning, he obviously upset a lot of that polling. So do you trust the polls? or are you somebody who's just waiting for that election outcome? So these are obviously important issues, and U.S. Senate is different than the State House. We focus a lot in Illinois about the Illinois State House, but the U.S. Congress deals a lot with national economic policy, foreign policy, and those are some things that the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, Kathy Salvi, mentioned in that clip there. But coming up next, we'll hear from the Libertarian candidate for U.S. Senate, Bill Redpath. Why the Libertarian Party? Why the U.S. Senate? And what does he think about foreign policy and also about how to curb inflation? We'll get to those conversations next here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Want to direct you to WMAY.com/pink, where you can donate for Real Men Wear Pink. But while you're there, you can also go to WMAY.com/win and find out all of the awesome things we've got going on for you to win. And this, of course, is through our partners at a variety of places. You can register to win tickets for the Ansar Shrine Circus, 75th Annual Circus. Click through there and you'll be able to find out about that contest. But we've also got a getaway for the holidays with the Abraham Lincoln Capitol Airport and the Legion Air, and a way for you to win a holiday getaway. So go and check out WMAY.com/win for the contests that we've got going on here with WMAY. All right, a few moments of a conversation I had with Bill Redpath, the Libertarian candidate. That's up next here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And we're back on Election Day. Polls are open. They close at 7 tonight, and you can get in there and cast your ballot. Of course, a lot of local races up for consideration and competition, but you also have statewide races. One of them we're focusing on this hour is the U.S. Senate. We heard earlier from Tammy Duckworth, the Democratic incumbent. We heard now from Kathy Salvi, the Republican challenger, but there's a third option on there, and that is Libertarian candidate Bill Redpath. And I chatted with him about a week and a half or so ago, and he shared some of his priorities, and in particular, we look at how to curb inflation. We also look at foreign policy, but I had to ask why the Libertarian Party and why the U.S. Senate seat. And he said really the Libertarian Party he was attracted to decades ago because of their economic policies, their freedom and individual policies, and also combating the war on drugs, which he says is something that has wrought all kinds of damage across many communities. But I asked him why the U.S. Senate seat. Why is he looking to take that on?
Want more choice on the ballot, that's for sure. They are fed up with the two-party system, and they want more choices on the ballot. They think government is too big, it's out of control. They want reduced government spending. They want lower taxes. And particularly on the abortion issue, I think that is probably the number one issue out there right now with so many people. But it is clear that the majority of people want some form of choice on that issue, and I think that is something that is bans on abortion just aren't going to fly politically.
So again, he seems to say that people want some choices, difference from the two-party system. Then we delved into some of the issues at hand, and in particular, foreign policy, what to do about Ukraine and the U.S. involvement there.
A very guarded role. I think that we should have very measured and carefully considered help for Ukraine. I do think we should help Ukraine. I think that obviously this is a horrific act, reprehensible act by Vladimir Putin and Russia, and I think we need to be on the side of Ukraine there. But I think our role in terms of trying to get both sides to the negotiation table to stop the conflict and try to resolve this, if possible, and I'm not sure it is possible. I think the role of this nation would be, frankly, better served as a mediator here to try to end this conflict than being an active participant. The one thing we cannot ratchet up our support too far. The one thing we absolutely cannot have and really can't risk is any sort of nuclear war with Russia. That would be cataclysmic for this nation, catastrophic. And that is that is priority 1 through 99, is not to engage Russia directly and not tempt them to start a nuclear war.
We're hearing from Bill Redpath, the Libertarian candidate for U.S. Senate, up against the incumbent Democrat Tammy Duckworth and the Republican challenger Kathy Salvi. And Libertarians are, of course, looking to get more than 5% for a statewide office, because that would make the Libertarian Party an established party in Illinois for the next election cycle, which would allow for easier ballot access as well. But we also talked about something that Duckworth said Republicans don't have plans for. Kathy Salvi says the plan is to get rid of Democrats and have a check of liberal policies from the Biden administration. What about the Libertarians? What is their plan to address inflation? Here again is Bill Redpath, the U.S. Senate candidate for the Libertarian Party.
I think that, first of all, the Federal Reserve needs to start managing the money supply. They ought to take Milton Friedman's decades-old advice and grow the money supply at the same pace as real gross domestic product in this nation. Let interest rates be set by the market, but I think we will have long-term price stability if the Federal Reserve does that. But we have to get government spending under control. And this is one thing that the Democrats never want to talk about, and the Republicans rarely. And that means entitlement reform. Right now, we have someplace between 2/3 and 3/4 of federal spending that is absolutely on autopilot, and it is going to continue to grow. The Social Security bump 8.5%. That sounds great, but wages are rising at about half that rate. They're saying that, already Social Security's trust fund is going to be depleted by 2034. This cost of living adjustment is going to deplete it even faster. And so it's there have to be plans to rectify the situation. With Social Security, I support the Cato Institute's 6.2% solution for Social Security, which would allow younger people to opt out of the system and put their employee FICA taxes in private inheritable accounts while they waive their future Social Security benefits. Employer taxes would continue to fund people who are in the plan. This is a plan that has been analyzed. It would restore Social Security to long-term fiscal solvency. Medicare should be turned into a insurance supplement cash payment program by seniors getting cash instead of Medicare paying enrollees directly. They would become more careful consumers of medical care. This would bring down medical costs. We need to get government much less involved. $5 out of every 6 on healthcare are spent by the government in this nation, and that has fueled price inflation and made the Medicare program far less affordable. And we need to focus benefits on poorer seniors and sicker seniors rather than just the population as a whole. So, and stop giving stuff away for free. There are departments with no more stimulus payments. Let's end this student debt forgiveness, which is a perverse redistribution of wealth from society as a whole to people who've gone to college and are relatively well off.
So again, that's the Libertarian candidate Bill Redpath. Again, 3 choices on the ballot. Go vote.
From the Fly SPI Studios, take the easy way out.